Good morning, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks again for joining us on this Sundays with Doug, where we're coming alongside of you. We're all on this journey together. We're helping you to rewire your brain, build new habits, and create a new identity. Because a hundredfold is about a group of people who are looking to find their true identity. And by doing so, finding God's true identity. Because you do have the power to choose. And we're going to give you the tools and the resources to help you along this journey. We're in a series now called "We Have the Mind of Christ," and that's found in 1 Corinthians 2:16. We have the mind of Christ, so we are the dwelling place. We have God's Spirit in us, and we have His mind in us. We each week cover the 10 truths. These are truths that we've memorized, we've applied, and meditate upon them. And as I've been doing each week, I've been asking those that are online to share maybe some experiences they had this last week with these 10 truths. So with that said, was there anybody that had an encounter this last week with one of these 10 truths? And maybe you could share it with us.
Yeah, so last week, since we didn't have our Bible study, I was actually on social media around the time that we would have this group,
Mhm.
and something popped up about gratitude.
Oh, wow.
And it was talking, and then it also talked about planted seeds, um, like how we've been talking about how thoughts create, our surroundings and all that. And I was like, huh. Well, cool. Well, since we didn't have Bible study, at least I got something.
Right. Yeah, it's cool. So it basically confirmed what you've been hearing and listening to. Um, and that's one of those 10 truths, right? Life is a mirror which reflects back what you truly believe and think. And
Circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters. Attitude of gratitude.
mhm,
God has granted me favor. Right place, right time.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Right place, right time. Yep. Ah, that's cool. And it's amazing how that all works out. Thanks, Jeremy. Anybody else?
Yeah, so I talked last week about, or last meeting, that about our car,
Yeah.
and we got it back, and that was amazing. And that was absolutely enough of a blessing for me, for us, because that was so stressful. But then after a few days went by, Michael and I we really love social media, probably more than like most people.
Yeah.
And like we've been doing TikTok a lot and going live and meeting new people, and it's been really, really fun.
Hmm.
And I mean, I know it seems all really fun too, but I kind of have been working on like building up my account.
Yeah.
And I told Michael one night, I was like, I just want one video to go viral, like,
Yeah.
and then I'll be happy. Like, I don't want the money. It's fun and it feels good. And it did the next day.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was so excited. I mean, it was just a really good feeling. Just, I don't know, because I have put a lot of effort into it.
Right.
And so my 10 truth is everything my hand touches prospers,
Hmm.
and I have unlimited possibilities and resources.
I love it. So the thought that you had, thoughts create things, that you wanted something to go viral, the very next day it occurs.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't put like my whole, like, how do I say this? I wasn't like depending on it, I guess.
Sure.
Whereas I think
Yep.
with the car, of course we're depending on it. But
Yep.
I was like, that would just be so amazing. And I don't really get anything from it. It would just be such a nice feeling, and to get that blessing. And I did. And I
Yep.
mean, I was talking to God all day. I was like, I mean, even when we were going through the situation with the car, I was like, every day I was praying and
Mm,
hoping, and felt so like hopeless. But it's nice to also be able to say, wow, you always bless me. And I know that I can believe in that.
yeah.
So
There you go. Love it. Well, thanks for sharing. And thanks everybody for that. And, these truths are true for you, whether we tend to believe them or not, or depending on the circumstances. Because sometimes it doesn't feel like all your needs are constantly met or you're at the right place at the right time. But these truths are true. So when you back the situation up or the circumstance, you can see. And I think, Rachel, you shared a couple weeks ago about, or maybe it was somebody else where they were stuck in traffic and it's like, oh gosh, this is so frustrating. But if we know we're always in the right place at the right time, then you can take a step back from that feeling of motion, anxiety, or whatever, and say, no, I'm always in the right place. So then you start thinking, well, maybe there was an accident up ahead, or maybe there's a reason for this. So it changes your thought process.
What I just realized, what's really interesting, is at the top of the 10 truths, it says, today, right now, is the best moment of my life. And if you kind of go into pretty much any, spiritual or anything like that, you have to kind of feel like this is the best moment of my life in order to kind of feel everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you wake up and you're like, hey, this is the best moment of my life, and that's kind of the first thing you feel, then all those other 10
There
truths,
you
I
go.
feel like, kind of go into place so much easier.
You
Because
got it.
you wake up and you say all my needs are constantly met, but that still takes away of, you can say that and still not feel like it's the best moment of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of being in the moment, right? So
Yeah, 100%. And I deliberately, when I created this, I deliberately put that as one, because Michael, you're absolutely right. When that one is set correctly, then all the other ones fall in line, because you realize that right now, this moment, 11:13 on a Sunday morning, is the best moment in my life because these truths are true for me. Yep. All right. So we are again in this series called We Have the Mind of Christ. And what I have been talking about, the last couple of weeks, is transformational toolkit. And what I found in my own life, and this goes back to what I shared last week. And you can find that. I'll put a link down below so that you can watch that. Is what I found in my life, that there were 5 tools that allowed me to be transformed. And the first one was gratitude, then identity, meditation, imagination, and co creation. But why is that so important? Why did I find that those were so important? Is because now what it did is it opened my eyes and it opened my ears to experience my true identity, to experience who God is in me. So when I applied these tools in my toolkit, it all of a sudden awakened me to see, hear, and experience God. But again, how does that occur? It occurs through these 5 tools, and it all starts with gratitude. For me, it started with gratitude. None of these other things that I'll be sharing with you, they came after gratitude. So if we're going to put on the mind of Christ, the very first thing we need to apply is gratitude, which then creates our identity. Then we look at our identity and we see who we truly are, which then motivates us. It encourages us to meditate or to be in prayer, and go inside, right? Because you know turning off the 5 physical senses, if you will, in meditation, and go within, which then causes us to use our imagination and say, wow, if my identity is I am one with God, and I'm meditating and I'm feeling that and I'm experiencing it, then I set the imagination so that I could be a co-creator. And I see that God has put in me the ability to co-create with him. And that's the whole purpose for bringing this experience, is to create with God, which then gives me more attitude, gratitude, which then sets my identity, and it just keeps going round and round and round. The more these become evident in my life, my experience is going to grow. Now, how does this all work, and are there some tools that we can use even beyond this list? And there is a tool, the way God has designed us, the way he has created us. And we've seen this through some other videos about the the way our mind works, right? And the power that Deepak Chopra, if you remember, with Oprah, and managing the string, and the split screen, where we set the attention, what we observe changes from a waveform to a particle form. So all of these things are coming together to help us understand our mind and how it works. Here is another way that it works, and it's called the Reticular Activating System. So we're going to watch a video real quick, and which will explain this system and how it works and the way that God has designed us. So with that said, I am going to, let's see here. I need to optimize for video clip, and I'll go back to full screen and we'll watch this video.
If you expect to achieve your goals, if you expect to reach your potential, if you expect to have your dreams come true.
Sorry.
If you expect to achieve your goals, if you expect to reach your potential, if you expect to have your dreams come true, what I'm about to explain to you is mission critical. You must become a master at visualization. For those of you that are like, what the heck is she talking about? I did not sign up for some sort of meditation woo-woo spiritual thing here. Don't worry. This is Mel Robbins. There's always science and research involved in everything that I talk about. So visualization is an extraordinarily powerful skill. You may have heard of the law of attraction. You may have heard of the word visualization. You may have heard of the word manifesting. I call it seeing signs. Your brain has a system in it. Here's the technical term. It's called the Reticular Activating System. It is a network of neurons all up in here. And what is the job of the Reticular Activating System? It is a filter system. It's basically a system that allows certain information in your brain, and it blocks out other information. And guess who programmed that filter? You did. And so did the people from your past. And so if you constantly feel like you're unlovable, guess what? Your reticular activating system is going through the day, and it is going to point out every single piece of evidence that confirms that negative belief that you have. If you think that people don't like you at work, the reticular activating system, the filter, it is literally going to be looking for evidence to confirm that belief all day long. This is one of the reasons why we have such a problem with politics in this country. This is why there's something called a confirmation bias. Confirmation bias means your mind loves to read things that you agree with, because reading things that you agree with confirms your filter. Why do we have a reticular activating system? There's a really important reason why you have this. The reason why is if your brain let in everything. Have you ever looked at a Facebook page? Have you noticed how many words are on a standard Facebook page? And the ad over here, and the ad over here, and the ad over here, and the ad, and the news feed right here, and the stuff up here, and all this over here. If your brain took in everything at equal value, your head would literally explode off your shoulders. Your brain would melt down. And so the reticular activating system protects your brain by filtering information and only letting in stuff that it agrees with. So that's the scientific reason and mandate for why you got to get busy reprogramming that thing. Now we're going to talk about how you use visualization in order to start to reprogram the reticular activating system in your brain so that your brain starts to spot opportunity. Your brain starts to spot evidence that things are working out. Your brain starts to spot coincidences so you can build momentum. And it begins with visualization. So as you take your goals, right? So you've written down all these goals, right, for 2019. I want you to go to each one and I want you to do a visualization exercise. And here's how you're going to do it based on science, because there's a particular way you have to do this based on science, okay? It's a two-step method. If your goal is to improve your self-worth, I want you to visualize what your life looks like and how you're going to feel about yourself when your self-worth has improved. There's two things that you have to do when it comes to visualization. You have to close your eyes. Truly, I know it sounds stupid, but I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to, in your mind, have a specific picture of what it looks like in your life when your self-worth has improved. You're going to see yourself speaking up at work. You're going to see yourself talking more about your business. You're going to see yourself leaving bad relationships. You're going to see yourself defining boundaries. You're going to see yourself going to the gym. You're going to see yourself taking care of yourself. And when you start to visualize the image of that, I want you to consciously, this is step 2, consciously think of the positive emotions that you're going to feel. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to feel proud. I'm going to stand taller. I'm going to be so grateful that I made this change. Marrying the specific picture. Oh, there I am. There I am. I'm at work and I'm raising my hand. Amazing. I'm sharing my idea. There I am. I'm getting a promotion. There I am asking for a raise. There I am. I've just signed up another customer to my business. There I am. I've gone back to school. I feel so good about myself. When you do that, here's what's actually happening in your brain. This is the cool science part. You are training your brain to have a totally different filter. You see, your brain, my brain, it doesn't know the difference between something that actually happened to you, like the F you got in your test in 10th grade, and the things you imagine that are happening to you. Let me say that again. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the bad things that actually happened to you, the real memories that you have, and an imagined memory that you're creating. Your brain will experience you visualizing going to the gym, you visualizing how happy you feel when you do, you visualizing asking for that raise and getting it and how proud you're going to feel. Your brain, when you visualize in the way that I'm teaching you to, it encodes it as a real memory. And that's important, because when you encode it as a real memory, it changes the filter system, that reticular activating system. And here's what we know based on research. The more you visualize things, number one, the greater your confidence is going to be, the greater security you're going to have about it. And here's the really cool thing. The more you do this with your goals, you wake up every day and you just visualize, it takes 30 freaking seconds, for crying out loud. You visualize having a great day at school. You visualize curing your panic and how proud you're going to be. What studies suggest and have proven is that simply visualizing yourself doing things actually develops the skill and helps you improve the skills, just as if you were actually doing it. And so there's proof based on research that visualization helps you build skills. And then finally, the other thing that's really important about this is that the more that you do this, what we know based on research is that the reason why you start to believe what you think is because you are reprogramming your brain. You are changing the network of neurons that act as a filter. And so the more that you actually believe in yourself and you start thinking and visualizing yourself speaking up, the more confident you're going to become, the more skills that you're building, and you're actually going to do it. And then, instead of looking for all the reasons when you're sitting in a meeting to not speak up, you're going to just speak up, because you're going to have changed the filter. You're going to look for opportunities. This is how it works. This is why this is so incredibly important. And so day one, I want you to go through all the goals that you set. And I want you every single day throughout the next 30 days You are going to spend 30 seconds. Your dreams deserve 30 seconds, don't you think? You're going to close your eyes and you're going to visualize, what does it look like in your life when you have achieved your monetary goals this year? How does it feel to go to the bank and see that balance? How does it feel to be able to write that check and take your kids to Disney World on money that you made? How does it feel to be able to rent your own place or put down a down payment for the house you've always dreamt of? How does it feel to be able to have saved enough money so you can quit the job that you hate and launch the business because you have achieved your goals? It feels darn good. That's how it feels. And I want you to just savor that, because what you're doing when you visualize is you're reprogramming your reticular activating system, that system of neurons, that network that acts like a filter in your brain, so that it's spotting opportunity, so that it is helping you see evidence that you are confident, that you are capable, that you can do this, instead of all the garbage you think right now.
All right. What did you guys think?
It was really good. I liked it.
Yeah, I love it. It's manifesting, you know, another word for visualization.
Yeah, exactly. So you have been for the last several weeks now working on the mindset worksheet, where we're looking at your current mindset versus your new mindset. And that's all, we're heading down a path that eventually is going to get us. In fact, next week, we'll be talking specifically about your mindsets. So please continue to work on that worksheet as it relates to money and health and your job and friends and so forth. And we're actually going to be creating like a vision board, like she talked about, and visualizing what we want for those particular areas of our life. So again, we're on a path. To get there. But just talking specifically about the reticular activating system. So we're just going to talk through, and if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. But this is just kind of a summary of this video. So the reticular activating system, what it is, it's a filter system. It filters out the unnecessary from the necessary as it comes through the 5 physical senses. So everything that we see, everything we hear, everything we taste, smell, etc., it filters out the unnecessary. And it's constantly, this system, and again, this is the way that God created us, it's consistently looking for evidence of your program all day long. This is because you are telling it what to look for. So you could think of this as, if you remember that ship analogy where, you were the captain of your ship and you were looking out with your goggles and you were looking out at the horizon, and you had those people that were inside of you that were saying, hey, how's everything going up there? And when you say, hey, everything's fine, then that's the way your body will react. Okay. So this system here is the goggles that you're looking outward, and you're telling those goggles, you're telling your eyes what to look for. So you're programming, if you will, what to look for. And you have the ability to look for, you have the ability to set the intention for what you want it to look for. All right. So the question is why? Why is this thing here? And it's because it's a sensory overload. It protects your brain because we don't need all that information. And the illustration she had was the Facebook with all of those ads and all of those pictures. And our brain has the ability to filter out what we don't want to see because we don't need to see it all. And here's a statistic, and down at the bottom, you'll see this is a study. Every day we have 34 gigabit of information, and 34 gigabit is equal to 34 billion bytes of information. All right, so think of those as the one and zeros, in a computer. And all of that's coming at us every single day, 34 gigabits of information through our five physical senses. And it's simply too much to handle and manage. So we need a filter. So this is what the RAS does. It's a learned mechanism that can be programmed and reprogrammed. And the beautiful thing is that you are the CEO of your thoughts. You get to decide what program you want to run. You get to decide how you think, act, and feel as it relates to, and here's our list, right? That you guys are looking at the current mindset and the new mindset: money, health, work, finance, spouse, kids, free time. You also get to decide what you allow through your five physical senses. All right. So again, one of our 10 truths is circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters. So you get to decide how you want to filter the information that comes to you. So how does this work? So it filters through all that 34 gigabit of inputs and allows only what you program to come through. So for example, when you're talking to someone and all of a sudden a word pops out that says it's exactly what you were looking for. You were reading something and an article appears. In fact, Jeremy, you brought this up on one of the 10 truths, right? You were just on social media and then all of a sudden you saw something about gratitude, right? That's
Yeah.
because you have programmed your reticular activating system to look for things to be grateful for. So you just experienced the RS filtering through that. If you're in a crowd or in a meeting, you just happen to overhear a discussion over here on the side, and it's exactly what you were thinking about. You talk to someone directly, and he confirms exactly what you were thinking. An example is like a comedian, right? A comedian is always looking for something funny in every situation. That's why comedians are so unique, is because they see things that are funny in everyday situations that their mind is filtering through to look for those things. We pass by them, right? We don't see it, but they see it, and then it becomes funny because it's been there all along. And in fact, that's the crazy thing, is these answers were always there. You just didn't notice them before because of this program, right? It's filtering out only the things that you're programming it to look for. So you are a co-creator. See how that works? And this is the way that God has designed us. So where do we go from here? All right. So first off, how do we use it? How do we program it? How do we take advantage of it? How do we rewire our brain? How do we renew our mind? And the way we do that is through smarter goals. Because you are the CEO. You were be the CEO you were created to be. You get to create the program. This is where circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters, right? You're the CEO. You get to decide what you want to see and how you want to react to any given situation. So we need to set smarter goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound, exciting, and risky. So, so Rachel, on what you programmed was, hey, I'd like to increase my I don't know what the word is, the number of people, you want to have something go viral, a video that went viral, right? So that was specific, it was measurable, it was attainable, it was realistic, it was time bound. Maybe you didn't have a time period on it. And it was exciting. It made you excited, and maybe it was a little bit risky, right? So you, without realizing it, created a smarter goal, and you created this RAS, and the thought about what to do and when to do it and when to upload it and all of that came because you had programmed this into your Reticular Activating System. Now, if and I'm just going to use an opposite example. Let's just say that I want to have 10 billion hits on this thing, and I want it within the next 2 hours. That's not necessarily attainable or realistic, right? So some of these, our mind will trip, and that might be cool and it might be excellent, but is it really realistic, and is it the right time bound, right? So our mind will then say, no, that's impossible, that's never going to happen, that's a pipe dream, right? When you start thinking that way, then all of a sudden that's what your RAS system will develop. So it has to be attainable, it has to be realistic, but it also has to be exciting and risky. So that's this is part of this vision board that we're putting together. Is we're going to be talking specifically about what these smarter goals are going to be for us, and how we want to program it. So again, with this, we want to write these goals down. We want to be very clear. Again, we want to create this vision board. The RAS loves pictures and visualization. It crystallizes exactly what you want it to filter out and look for. And RAS does not know the difference between an actual and a dream. So this was part of the video, right? Is she talked about, if you had an F in 10th grade versus, an experience that you want to have, when you repeat it over and over again, then your RAS, and even your mind for that matter, doesn't know the difference between reality and what actually happened versus a dream, or your visualization, or your imagination, because we're programming it for what to look for. And then to lock it in, we want to ask some questions, and we'll get into a little bit more detail as we're putting the vision board together. But how did it feel when you got this? So these are, and maybe Rachel, you did some of this, is when you started thinking about, having a viral video, you thought, oh man, that's going to be so cool, and how it's going to make you feel, and how will you know when you achieve this, when you hit that number, whatever that number is, and you're going to know you hit it, and you're going to feel that feeling. These are things that you're going to ask yourself before it happens, as if you experienced it already, because then you're programming again with visualization, with your imagination, and then your RAS is now going to look for opportunities to bring that to you. What will achieving this do for you? What is the result you desire? What does that look like? And how will you think, act, and feel when you achieve this? And then repetition. So we will want to be memorizing these. We'll be looking at these, every single day, and keep these goals on the top of your mind. Make it important to you, because energy flows where your attention goes. And then talking to other people about it, sharing your dream with other people. And then, of course, follow the breadcrumb trail. The path will light up for you. It comes by way of rest, right? So if you're anxious or worried about these things coming to you, then what's going to end up happening, in fact, I made a note down here, waiting to feel grateful will run the program of waiting. And if it's too hard, we'll run the program of it's too hard. So we have to be very careful about our thoughts around our goals and the vision board. And if we say, that's why it has to be measurable, attainable, realistic, right? If you say, oh, I'd love it, but it's never going to happen, then you're going to run the program of, you're going to love it, but it's never going to happen, right? So we have to be very deliberate about what we think, act, and feel. And of course, having gratitude for achieving your goals. So what that does is gratitude, when you have the feeling of gratitude, it's as if you've already received it and you're grateful for already having it. Therefore, it'll come to you easier, because you're not anxious or worried. All right, so I went through all of that. Any questions, comments about this RAS system, how it works? All right, cool. So we're all on board. Here's another quick video. I'll share this real quick.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. Clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit. Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day, you can skip a day or two, but if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look at...
I love that video. I think I sent that to you.
I think you did. And that's definitely consistency, right?
Consistency, yeah. It's like one of those things, like, yeah, tomorrow you might say something negative, you might think something negative, but if you just practice that positive thinking, 20 minutes out of the day, that consistency builds up. It's like,
exactly,
so easy to lose the weight, but how easy is it to continue to keep the weight that you want?
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I heard was that our minds are so capable of thinking a negative thought, like, oh my gosh, like, this is such a terrible day. But if it's that easy to think of negative thought, then it should be that easy to be able to think of positive thought.
That's right.
It's because you're given the energy, whatever negative or positive energy you give it is what will fuel that, flame, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely, Michael. Yeah. And I really liked his comment. We can't, on the programming, we can't say, well, I did it all day today for 9 hours and I'm good. And you just kind of walk away and you think, okay, that's all that's required. No, it's the consistency. It's 20 minutes every day. And that's what we're looking for here is to reprogram our brain. It just takes consistency. And, there is work involved, but it's not hard work. It's fun work because we are creating a different life. We're rewiring our brain and we'll be able to see things easier than, because right now a lot of us are on autopilot, right? It's just autopilot. We just accept things as they come to us, but we are designed to be co-creators. And I'm hoping that these last few videos I've shown you just how God has designed us and created us in such a way to enjoy this life and be co-creators and use our imagination to be able to create a life that God wants us to have, which is full of joy, love, abundance. That's what we're here for. All right. So on the mindset worksheet, which is on our website, the100foldjourney.com, and I'll put a link down below as well, is we're asking ourselves the question, what is our current mindset for the categories below, which is the job and the money and the health? What mindset are you currently believe, think, and feel about these categories? And if you want to know what you believe, look at your current life experience, because life is a mirror. But then the more important one is to ask yourself what your new mindset would be. Am I satisfied with my current life experience? And if you feel you want to make a change, what would that change look like? Okay. And then record your answers in that sheet. And again, we're going to be talking specifics next Sunday, specific answers that you guys have, and we'll start creating creating the life that you guys want for yourselves, and be very, very specific. And those categories, again, are money, health, job, friends, spouse, significant others, kids, grandkids, and free time. Being a co-creator, we get to choose what, but God chooses how and when. And that's the beauty of it. If we go back to one of our very first studies, way back when, over a year ago, we talked about the seed and the sower and planting seeds. And in Luke chapter 4 or 5, it talks about the farmer, that he plants the seeds and then he goes to bed and then wakes up, and all of a sudden there's a crop, and all he gets to do is just harvest the increase. But he doesn't do any work. He goes to sleep. He goes to rest. So again, we get to plant the seeds of the what, and then God does the how and when. This is where the co-creation comes in. We're doing this together. All right. So that's it for this morning. Next week will be again a very important week, because we'll get into the specifics about, and we're going to start with money. Is we're going to talk about your guys's mindset on money, and what your current mindset is and what the new mindset is, and we're going to set the intention so that we are actually programming, right? We're programming our RAS. We're going to tell it what we want it to look for. And if we want it to look for, a video that goes viral, then the RAS will give us what we need, and the breadcrumb trail will light up and says, okay, you want that? All right, here it comes. This is how you do this, and this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then all of a sudden, boom, it all comes together. That's how it works. Okay, anything else? All right, guys, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate your time. Please work on that mindset worksheet, and we will cover that next week. Until then, please continue to work on the 10 truths. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on the100foldjourney.com. My email is in there, and then you can also join us on Facebook. And that's it for this morning. Thanks again.
All right.
Bye for
Thank
now.
you.